All right, guys, we're going to get started here. First things first, I'm going to go by community, and if you have a representative here, just say here. Columbus Academy? Here. Delaware? Here. West Jefferson? Canal Winchester? Here. Westerville? Here. Bob, so you St. Paul? Big Walnut? Here. Bexley? Here. St. Matthews? Here. Hilliard? Yep. Olentangy? Pickerington? Yeah. New Albany? Yes. New Concord? Yes. Marysville? Here. Jonathan Alder? Here. Grove City? Gahanna? Granville? Here. Okay.
Lincoln Valley. As I say, if we didn't call your committee and you're new, we got Lincoln Valley. Anybody else new?
Okay. Great. Well, thank you very much, guys, for taking the time out of a busy Tuesday here to come and see what we got cooking for 2019. I've spoken with a lot of you on what we've done in the past as far as what the changes are going to be, especially with planning for 2019. One of the biggest things we've done here is we've added a little bit of responsibility splitting. So in addition to myself being the day-to-day contact and the league operations, Bear is going to be taking a little bit of a different role as well. His is going to be mainly focusing on growth of COYLL as well as the overarching COYLL principles and just the functionality as a whole, whereas I'll be tackling the day-to-day operations and most of what I did last year with keeping the league going strong. Mike McGee will return as our assigner for 2019 for referees. He's also going to be training them similar fashion he did last year. We expect a retention rate of about 80% with officials, which is considerably higher than in the past or any other sport right now. And a lot of it has to do with the atmosphere that you guys have at your fields and what the coaches do. So we want to keep that up, and retaining the officials is important. And we got a little bit more to discuss about the officials later, as I'm sure you saw in the itinerary here. In addition to that, we have 2 more full-time staff members with the Ohio Machine that I'm going to delegate some responsibility to from COYLL. The first being Julia Hochberg. She will be managing all of our partnership activation and management of what we obligate our partners benefits to you. And she'll go over exactly what that means here in a little bit. The second being Brett Malamud. Brett will be handling our social push. He's our social media manager for the Ohio Machine. So what we're going to do is he allows his skill set allows us to do things we haven't been able to do in the past. The first being now we're going to be live streaming all of our open meetings as well as recording them. So any information you have to disseminate through your communities will now be available in video context for you to pass along that way. We're going to have a larger social presence with COYLL to allow you to promote more inside your communities and really recruit from within and get more officials, more players, more coaches, just the whole 9 yards really. That's our goal, is to help you guys have the tools that the machine can provide and grow with all of that. So I'm going to have Julia speak for just a moment here on exactly what her role is going to be.
Hi guys, my name is Julia Hochberg. I supposed to introduce myself. So just moved here from North Carolina this summer. So super excited for my first snow. Should be cool.
The first one always is. It's 25 after.
Well, got heated seats installed in my car this week, so pretty pumped about it. But yeah, so as Shane said, I'm our corporate partnerships coordinator for the machine, and I also help run our charity foundation, the Ohio Machine Lacrosse Foundation, both of which will really tie in and help COYLL. So the first thing I'd like to bring up, I'm not sure if you saw on the way in, but there is a grant application that will be starting this year. And anyone that's affiliated with a nonprofit, which should be most of your communities, has the opportunity to apply for any amount of money, and then we'll kind of delegate that out as we have a board of advisors that will help with that decision. It's not just Bear and I. So that's back there, and I can also answer questions about that afterward. And we also have fundraising opportunities through the machine for tickets. So if you have a group outing that your community wants to come, or your school or something like that, you can earn up to $5 or at least $5 per ticket. Oh, Shane's passing out the grant information. So that's definitely a great way to help your community. And then, cool. So just to run through our partners real quick that go through COYLL. So just to explain what you get from each of them. So Donato's has a Team of the Week program. So there'll be a junior and senior Team of the Week. And there's a bunch of different factors. It's not just about winning, but sportsmanship, kind of your communication with us, a bunch of different factors will go into it. And you'll get a free pizza party. And then at the end of the year, Columbus Coach sponsors the Team of the Year. So those same factors, but compiled over the season. And Columbus Coach will come pick your kids up, take them to a Donato's. If you want to go somewhere else, like last year, some kids went and got ice cream. They went to a lacrosse shop. So different options there, but thanks to Columbus Coach for that one. And then, sorry, I'm going to read this one word for word because I don't want to mess up your discount. So Lacrosse Academy is presenting a COYLL Coaches Clinic. That'll be at Fortress Obeds. And Bear is going to be hosting it along with some Lacrosse Academy staff. And so this will be in an email afterwards, but just to kind of go over the discount, a $100 donation for your COYLL team will be made if 6 or more players register, and $200 if it's 12 or more players. So they've got definitely great programming throughout the year, and then there's that clinic as well. And BSN and Aries are our apparel sponsors. So I know Aries is here, and there's some stuff from BSN as well. So you'll have the opportunity to learn about them, but they'll be able to provide your jerseys and any other apparel and equipment you guys need at different, we've got discounts through them. So I'm sure they can explain it a little more than I can. And some lacrosse, they'll be at our lacrosse convention coming up in December, which I'm sure Shane is going to talk about, but it's meant as a training tool. So it can, I'll send out some information about that as well, but it's a pocket that, I'm sorry, I know nothing about lacrosse. It's a pocket that goes in the head and you use it to throw, and yep, good.
Good briefing.
Thank you. And then last one is Max and Irma's. So they've got locations in a lot of your communities, and they'll be able to host team parties. And if you have a meeting or something that you need, they do 20% fundraisers that will come back to your community. So with as many locations as they have, definitely a great opportunity there. And then last one, Holiday Inn is also our team partner. And so thanks to them for this room tonight. Cool.
How is everybody? So my name is Brett Malamud. I started with the machine last December. I came from the Buffalo Bills, actually, so I know there's a lot of Ohio State guys that are playing for the Bills right now. How many of you guys are on social media? Raise your hand. Anyone? How many of your kids are on social media? All right. Well, so part of my job, what I want to bring to COYLL is branching out, helping the community, connecting the teams to the Ohio Machine, to COYLL, and to our brands as well. We have a lot of great brands that partner with us, that do great things, as Julia just touched on, who also want to give back to the community. Part of that comes back to tagging us on social media. Part of that comes back to taking photos of your kids, setting up an account for your own teams and your own programs. All of these things are very important to growing your program, or trying to recruit kids who might see, oh, my friend Johnny, he's on a lacrosse team and they won the championship, and here they all are, and oh cool, the Ohio Machine tweeted them out, a photo of them. That would be a fun thing for me to play. Little things like that definitely take a huge step. So one of the things that I'm going to ask each of you guys to do is to create, whether it be an Instagram, a Twitter, a Facebook, those seem to be the big three in terms of social media presences. And what I'm going to ask you guys to do is each, create your social handles and then tag us, share your photos. I'm going to leave my card here. If you guys have photos of your kids that you want us to put out, we'd love to do that. We're here to help you guys. We're here to promote you guys. And in turn, we're asking that you, again, tag us to help promote us and get the word out about COYLL. In terms of taking photos, whether it's a parent that's on your team that, obviously you guys are busy coaching, but whether you can designate a parent on your team, whether it's your wife or your husband, and you're like, hey, snap a photo of them, send it to us. We will absolutely do everything that we can to put your faces out there and your teams out there. So, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, for those that don't know, I'm Barry Davis, head coach, general manager, and VP of community outreach for the Ohio Machine. I've been with the team since 2013 and full-time since 15. So this is the COYLL project has been near and dear to my heart because it's been something that's been an ongoing process, and a lot of the advancements have come from this group right here. A lot of people in this room that have worked hard to make this thing work, and it's exciting that last year we had such a, maybe not weather-wise, but at least operationally, we had a pretty smooth spring, and we're going to see more growth this year. We have more communities that are interested in participating, and I think that's exciting whenever you see growth. And a couple things that will come up for 2019, the K2 programming, Scoopers League. All right, there's a couple things going on with that. We have a couple communities that are already doing this, and then last year was the first year we actually had cross communities start to play one another. We particularly aren't going to necessarily run that, and we won't necessarily schedule those games, but we want to make sure that we're identifying communities that are adding this program, and that way if they want to play or they want to have games outside of their community, certainly they'll know who else is sponsoring it. Also, we would like to, just like we have for the juniors and senior league, just at least establish some rules. So if you do cross over communities and play, you understand what the rules are that they're playing by. There are no referees for this age group. It's coaches on the field. It's very introductory, but there'll be some communities that will not want to use pads, and that's fine. And that's going to be the U6 rules in the U.S. lacrosse. And then there'll be some communities that will want to use pads for that age group, and that would be the U8 rules. So those would be the recommended rules that COYLL will suggest. And then as far as that goes, we will want to add the K2 to the play day. So that might be exciting for them to be able to come out and, they'll, even if that's your only game you have the whole season, that would be, it could be fun for them to come out and see the juniors and the seniors and be in that atmosphere. We want them to feel like they're a part of something really cool and much bigger than just their 12 kids that are going every Sunday or whatever you have going on. So we're excited about that. And if anybody has any ideas, like I know some of you guys have been doing this for a while, with the K2, and you have really well-established programs, we're all ears. We'd like to see how we can make that, because we know if we can get them at that age group, there's a great chance they're going to go play the 3-4s, and then we can start establishing it. We know that parents probably going to be a little bit more knowledgeable and they'll feel more comfortable coaching at the junior level. So just a lot of good stuff will come from that. Rules clarified. I know when you Google COYLL rules, there's like a lot of different things that come up from past web pages that we've had, and just a cross between what we've done with U.S. lacrosse and their rules. So the manual will be complete. It will have U.S. lacrosse, rules, and then any amendment that we as a group have made. Some of those amendments are recommendations by U.S. lacrosse already. Like the one pass rule has always been something to recommend as as something to try. We do it. It's not something we're trying. It's just something we've implemented. So we'll just make sure that's very, very clear this year. Thought the cheat sheets last year worked out well. I would say some communities were really good about having them at the table. Some referees were really good about having them with them. I'd like to say it was 100%. Still wasn't. But I think we're getting closer. It would be nice if every, the PLCs are here. Just let's continue to encourage, just tape it at the beginning of the year on the table that you use and leave it there and try to make it really easy. And we'll continue to, send that out. The cheat sheet usually has any rules changes from year to year or anything that might be different or stray from the U.S. lacrosse standard rules. So, and then, once we have our next meeting with the PLCs, Mike McGee will go through any rules. We'll establish that, and then that manual will be completed. Waiver process for machine. Last year, that was something that we came through with. And I think what happened was we were able to get that link to you guys after registration began. So it was really hard, to go back and ask more, require more of people that have already registered. So we had a pretty good amount of the registrations, like people had their participants fill out the waiver. We have the link. It's ready to go. We'd like for you to go ahead and just add it as a part of your registration. That way you don't have to do anything extra. Just add it as, complete this form. Everyone pretty much has that in their process already. So should be fairly painless. Shane has sent that link out. If you need it, or if I know you guys get a ton of emails, just let us know. We can provide that for you. We can even put it on the website as well. But we need everybody to complete it this year. Every participant, and now we're ahead of it. So as they register, hopefully they should be able to complete that.
So that was in the email this month?
It hasn't been in the last email. It was in the one before that. However, I will resend it as a follow-up either Wednesday or Thursday with it inside of it.
You want to go to the next?
Yep, I got that.
Sorry, you ever mentioned the website? You and I talked. Is it going to be ready again?
So,
sorry to interrupt.
we have a couple different things with the website. We have in the past used League Athletics. It's not the best website. From the back end side, it doesn't do everything we need it to do. It's a good housing website for all the documents, but beyond that, it's not very useful. Major League Lacrosse is changing our website platform for the machine. That will launch early in the first quarter of next year. However, it might not be in time for COYLL. So what we will most likely do is use League Athletics again in conjunction with our current machine website. Beyond that, we're still working on the fine details, though. We don't have any further information.
Our goal will be that there will be a drop down, and then you can just click on it, and that link will redirect you to League Athletics. And then once our new website would come up, that it'd still be in a drop down at some level, and it'd redirect you to the new site.
Everything would be housed on the machine website.
Yeah. So good question, though.
Any other questions at this point? All right. So it occurred to me that you guys probably don't know a lot about me. I just kind of jumped in 2 years ago and started sweeping around there. So as you guys know, I'm Shane Richards. This is my third season coming up with the machine. I started as an intern in operations in 2017. Yes, 17. So this is my first year at the helm of operations for the machine. In addition to that, I officiate college soccer. I travel around the Midwest and handle some of the Big Ten games, ACC, Big East, a lot of D2 and 3 games. That's my passion, so to speak. And I take a lot of what I know from that, and I'm going to be providing suggestions this year, especially in the referee department, where I see a lot of improvements to be made. The first and foremost, a lot of what we had last year was issues with referee payments. So the way the process worked last year was if we had a game weekend, I would then receive the names from Mike McGee of everybody that worked. I'd take it from Arbiter, and then I would have a check cut from the league office in Boston and have it mailed to the referee. The whole process took about 4 weeks, assuming there were no issues. There were always issues. So in reality, it took about 6 weeks to get a payment from a game, which is entirely unacceptable. So what we're going to be doing this year is we're going to be using Arbiter Pay, which is a direct deposit to bank system that all I have to do is click a button and 3 days later processed in their account. It's also possible that Arbiter can cut them a check if they don't want to use direct deposit, and it'll mail to them automatically. It'll take care of all the billing. It'll take care of all the W-9s. Everything's handled by them, not Major League Lacrosse, not me. Everything's handled by them. That will not incur a cost to you guys. We're going to pick up the bill for that and use our sponsors to cover that cost. So there will be no additional cost for that feature. That will be implemented, it will be used, and it will not increase cost. However, looking at their fee schedule for what we have paid officials and what we are paying officials, it doesn't line up with other sports and what has been paid to them, as well as what is currently what we currently believe we need. So what we are going to put to vote actually to the PLCs here in the next couple of weeks is actually a proposed fee increase for officials. I'll get on that in a minute. But the big ones we're looking at here are $5 fee increase for senior officials. So senior games have 2 senior officials. We're going to be proposing a $5 increase fee for both of them. That would be each community would split that. So every game would be $5 more expensive for that community. We're not taking any of those fees as the machine. That's all still a pass-through. There's nothing going to us for that. The other addition we would like to make is 2 officials for junior games. Every issue we had last year for officiating, for the most part, was from junior games because various reasons. From the newer referees were on those games because they were easier, however, they were alone. To there was only one person, so if an issue arose, it's harder to manage as one person rather than 2. Even as an experienced official, that's more difficult. It also would prepare them more for senior games because they're doing 2, whereas they will be doing 2 later. It's the direction we would like to take it because ultimately it benefits the official. And we have so many officials we're retaining this year and we're expecting more. We have the officials that want to do the games and we will be able to cover. I've spoken with Mike about this and we've had extensive conversations. Mike feels we will be able to cover an additional referee on each junior game. And these are referees that will be in your communities looking to learn, to make a little bit more money, and ultimately it's to benefit them in the game. So that's our main focus this year. Yes?
What are the age guidelines for referees?
3 years older than the highest age they are doing.
Yeah, speaking with Mike about some of these, and we've had some conversations. Some of the things that were going on is retention. You know, some of the junior officials were going out there by themselves and they were new, and it was just a very difficult situation for some of them to swallow. And also the fact that we had a lot of officials last year that didn't get assigned. So they did all the classes and everything, and then they weren't able to get assigned. So a little bit of this is going to dive into retention issues. We want to make sure that they're having a quality experience, but not only that, but they're getting assigned to games. And we hope that this, with Mike is also taking over the high school assigning now, we'd like to streamline this. We want these guys to have a great experience. Not only do we create more quality, experience at the COYLL youth level, but then they could go on up to middle school, high school, and they're all going to be the same, process with Mike. So we're excited about the opportunity. Obviously, there's a cost that comes into it, but it's also a safety thing. Having 2 officials on the junior field, mechanically also, I think Shane just touched on it. It's a lot different going from a single person mechanic to a double person mechanic in the senior games. So that was difficult for officials, and Mike had given us that feedback as well.
And we're going to be talking about this a little bit more in a second here. This is you. Yeah.
Okay, so the fees pretty much are going to stay the same coming up for this upcoming year. Although some of the features, like I discussed, arbiter pay, those things do cost more. But it looks like we'll be able to drop the league athletics, which was an extra pay or extra fee, and just harbor our COYLL site on our website once we get our new site up. So, but there'll be $250 per community. That was the same as last year. $300 per team. That was the same as last year. The signing fee did not go up. That's the same as it has been, and that's a pass-through. Whether you're in COYLL, not in COYLL, that would be your signing fee through the referee association. Juniors, that would be, because of the increase, it would be $35 per game because that would give us that extra official on the field. And then seniors, it would be $40, which would be the $5 increase. And just like we have increased our referee fees for 3 years since we've been running COYLL, we also want to make sure that they're not that there's an agreement that this is locked in for 2 years at minimum, and next year we're not having the same conversation. So, and that's pretty much how it's done at many levels. Whether it's NCAA or whatever, if there's an increase, they'd like to lock it in for a couple of years and agree on it. So that's what we're looking at. And Shane will put that out to the PLCs to vote on. You got it next.
So we've actually got a couple examples here. So I took, these are actual invoices, and all of you have these in your packet. If you can't read what's up here. These are actual invoices that were used from last year. I changed a few of the things to better represent what we're looking at. But the top is what was last year's cost, and the bottom is what the cost would become with the additional referee fees. So as you can see here, we have it's about $160 increase for a 2-team community, 1 junior, 1 senior. That $65 discount on Arbiter there is our ability to have our sponsors pay for Arbiter entirely. So what we're doing there is we're going to offset as much as we can for you guys by having our sponsors pick up the Arbiter tab, because that's our single most expensive non-personnel cost. It's pretty expensive to utilize that tool. However, it's something we just can't operate without anymore. It's very important, and we have to have it. So we're utilizing partnership deals right now to pay for that. This is another example of a community. This is a 4-team community. Same thing. So the last one was an 11% increase. This one is a 14% increase of $385. Again, all of that is in referee fee changes. There is no change to the PL participating league fee. There is no change to the team fee, the assigning fee. It's only to the officials, and that's all going to them. It's a complete pass-through.
Any questions about that? No red flags? Everybody's good with that? I mean, we've had multiple conversations with Mike, and we feel very positive about it. We feel like it's the right thing, and it's going to help us, get more interest. So the good news is we had 80 referees. We had almost 80 referees last year. That's the most we've ever had. And like Shane said, retention looks like it's going to be great, and we're going to be recruiting more. So that's exciting.
So ultimately, this is the question I'm going to be sending out to vote. It's both one, the other, or nothing. If we do agree on a fee increase, it will lock in for the 2019-2020 year. If we don't, we're going to have to revisit it again in 2019. This is the only item we feel that's necessary at the time to put out as a vote. The rest is either quality of house benefits or just blanket improvements. Nothing really fee structure wise that's mandatory. So this is the exact question I'm going to be sending out to the PLCs here in the near future to vote on. I ask that you disseminate this to your communities and get the best gauge of interest from them. I ran some numbers. Basically, if you have a team of 15, it's going to ultimately increase registration by about $10 to $13 per kid is what it boils down to. Now that's going to vary basically depending on the size of the community, the size of the team, but that was a rough guess from my math. Any questions on that?
Yeah. All right, so one of the things we definitely wanted to chat about was we're all trying to recruit coaches. We're trying to make them, the best that we can, and we don't want to send them out there without, some ammo. And this convention is December 1st. I know we've been sending out stuff. I know everyone gets a ton of emails though, and you probably got calls and got some voicemails from our staff at the machine, but I highly recommend it. I think, I highly recommend it because there's nothing else that you can invest in more than coaching your kids. You want them to have a quality experience so you have retention, and sending a dad or a volunteer out there with no experience that's very difficult. And we have some great resources here. US Lacrosse has their level 1. They have their level 2, which will be actually the next day over at Hilliard Davidson. We bring in speakers. We used to fly out east for everything, back in the day. And when I first moved back to Columbus, I was like, we have all these great college coaches, all these incredible youth coaches now. We should have them here, and we should be utilizing them. And so, again, we're excited to bring it back for the 5th year. A lot of great speakers in there. So if anybody has any questions, I know we also have the pay for 4, get the 5th coach free. So I highly recommend that, you get this out to your coach, especially if like that dad's been hanging out by the sideline for the past 3 years. He just hasn't fully dove in. Recruit him. We've been doing that for the last 5 weeks in Hilliard. So you'd be amazed how many guys are like, okay, I'll do it. Okay, I'll do it. Just not waiting until the week before the first practice and then asking them now so we can organize them. So. And then there's a discount. I think Shane's had it up there, but we can make sure you guys have that for COYLL coaches.
Last items of business that we have to share today is basically the same as we've had in the years past. So our play day is going to be April 29th this year. It'll be at Obetz. So that's whatever we schedule wherever, that will be guaranteed for sure. That's the day we're going to have it. Major League Lacrosse season has shifted slightly, so it will no longer be on a game. So that'll be the sole event for the day at Obetz. The season has shifted from May to September, for the most part, late May. So it will be over. COYLL will now end before the Major League Lacrosse season starts. I'm sure a lot of you saw me on the play day last year. I was running around pretty hectically. So that will no longer be the case. My sole focus will be on that event now. Clinics, we're going to be doing similar structure for clinics like we did last year. We had 3 throughout the year. We have our sponsors covering the cost of most of them. So all the instruction you can give your kids that they wouldn't necessarily be able to obtain from the coaches you have in your community, or more specialized coaching, or just an outside view, that is, some of these events are going to be great for that to take place at Obetz. I don't believe we have any other sites at this time. Everything is going to be at the Fortress for those. And lastly, I've dedicated some time here for our representative from Aries to speak to you. He will you can come up here. Aries has been with COYLL since the beginning, I believe. So they are probably our best ally for you. Last year they outfitted all of our officials with their equipment, uniforms, everything. They've given us an allotment of money that I'm planning to do the exact same thing again this year. So the officials' costs, all they'll have to do is go to the class, be certified, and then everything else will be paid for them. Their equipment, uniforms, even the fee. I believe U.S. Lacrosse covered that last year. So this is a great partnership for us. Now, can you talk a little bit about that?
Thank you so much. First off, thank you guys for having us out tonight. A little bit about me. So my name is Alex Gossard. I'm with Aries Sportswear. Some of you also may know me. I run the program over at Hilliard Bradley. Been the head varsity coach last year. It's my first year there. It's my second year. I've been a Central Ohio guy pretty much my whole life. Played in Hilliard, Optimus. It was Hilo back then, but grew up in Hilliard, went to Wilmington, played 4 years there, came back. Recently just started working with Aries. A little bit about Aries, the relationship. Like you said, this will be our 4th year with COYLL. Aries is really focused on kind of growing the game in the community. And part of the ways that we do that is, like I stated, we cover the cost for the officials, completely outfit them. So all they got to worry about is taking the class. I know that's kind of one of the difficult things about deciding to become a ref is like you feel like you got to spend all this money in order to, you got to kind of build it before you even kind of profit anything in the end. And so that's kind of one of the things we do to help the community build is getting good referees overall. That'll help our play in Central Ohio. So we outfit them. And then as well, we also, any new community that will join COYLL, we will also cover their uniforms for the first year. We are a licensed vendor to print the COYLL logo. By now, I'm pretty sure all of the community should have that logo on their pennies as well. So that's some things that we do for the community. And another big thing is that, we do understand that a lot of people like to go through the local guy. It's something we always run into. I will state, I'm sure that you can attest to this and maybe attest to this as well. We are really competitive with pricing, and our customer service is second to none. We always put our customer first. We always try to do what's best for the community, especially being local here. We are local. We're located in Hilliard. So feel free to stop by. We can explain more at the end. If you have any questions, if you want to get some contact info, give me your contact info. I'll be more than happy to reach out to you, and we can kind of talk and figure something out for you guys. Thanks so much.
Another supporter of us is BSN, whereas Aries supplies a lot of soft goods. BSN just supply hard goods. He had an emergency he couldn't make tonight, but I will be sending out all of his information as well. He sent us some bags back there. Feel free to take one on your way out. But all this information I'm going to be sending out in an email either tomorrow or Thursday in written form, so you can have everything that we've talked about tonight. We'll also have the video processed, and I'll have a link for that hosted on probably our YouTube page, so you can share that as necessary. But other than that, we have covered all of the information we plan to cover, but we're going to open it up for any questions, discussion you want to have about COYLL in general, or any concerns you have moving forward.
Are you guys still going to do the select play?
Yeah, we'll continue to do the select play day as well. I know a couple communities popped in here after we started, which is fine. Just make sure you check in with Shane so we can make sure we know who's here. You know, and a lot of you programs have girls programs or looking to add girls. I can tell you we just had a conversation yesterday with COYLL, the girls side. Great conversation. You know, I think that was definitely a step in the right direction as far as being on the same page and sharing resources. And I don't know where we'll go from there, but we definitely plan to meet again and keep trying to grow that. And hopefully a lot of these resources we can, you know, try to add to your girls side because it's important. You know, we feel like that, you know, we if we can help in that area, we'll help in that area as well. And if you guys have a girls program, make sure you're sharing information, you know, with them. Certainly we'd like to help them out too. If they need to order stuff, I'm sure Aries would help them and use the COYLL code. Any of that stuff, we'll figure it out. You know, we'll try to help them out. So also with that, I know we will also have the store this year with Warrior like we had last year, in addition to hard goods. So I think we're actually trying to streamline that with BSN, but we'll have more information on it as well. Any questions? Select play day? Yes, we had that one. Yes.
You mentioned the K-2 would potentially participate in the play day. Would there be a cost associated with that?
That we have really probably not, to be honest with you. You know, like we're just if we have the space, which we should, you know, we would love to have it. You know, I think it's important that they get hooked. I mean, that play day, they would come out and see all the older kids playing. I think that, you know, tailgate with the older kids, parents. I mean, that's always that's how they get hooked. You know?
Our registration is set up a little bit for them as far as
sure.
Cost, so I wanted to
absolutely. Yep.
So first, just a comment on the second official in the junior games. I think that's a great idea. Having been on the sidelines the last 3 years, junior games, I think having two is going to make a big difference. So great suggestion there. The question I have though is about the Scoopers League. Will we just, that's something we've been doing for a few years. We would love to take it out and play other programs. Will you just let us know what's the role that you folks are going to play in that for us? You're just going to tell us who to call or how?
So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask each community to identify one of three things. Either they won't have it at all, they're going to be U6, or they're going to be U8. U6 being no pads, U8 being pads. And then from that point, I'll have a list of every community that will be which one, and then disseminate that to every other community. And we're going to provide any modifications or rules similar to what we provide to the other age groups. And then that will be the extent for us, because we're not going to schedule any games. I'm just going to provide you all the resources to play each other if you would so choose. So if you have if you have a game hosted at your site on a particular Sunday and there's space to have little kids and both communities have them, then you guys can go ahead and have a game there for them. The majority of this is just to allow the communities to have the program to begin with. And that structure, once that structure is set, then we can begin to look and have competition is the goal.
Well, the reality is you may only have 7 kids come out, and then they come out every, and then they might want to play someone else. So we're just letting you know they're doing the same thing. We're just kind of connecting the dots for everybody.
Yeah, I think it's great. We have a lot of kids sign up, and then they see the bigger kids with sticks and pads, and our kids are soft stick. And as the season goes on, they kind of drop off because there's nothing to really look forward to. There's not competitive play. So if the play day edition is there, I think that would be great. Something to look forward to keep them coming through the season and have to look forward to.
A model we talked about a little bit was in the first 2 or 3 weeks, having them do as you said, come out, play against each other, practice, and then encourage later on in the year maybe some inter-community scrimmages, and then at the play day, that's when they can have their games. So.
Good question. Yes.
Sticking with that same thing, what's the percentage of communities that do pads versus no pads?
That's
great
what we're
question.
trying to find out. Yeah, Big Walnut, I know, has pads. Hilliard's in pads at that age group. New Albany, I believe, is in pads.
And in New Albany, Bexley, we played them last year, so we started with a little bit of that.
Yep.
We had 4 or 5 games, I think, with our U8,
Sure.
with each of them last year, but in pads, not in the U6, no pads. So.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, and that's what we're trying to figure out. But it seems like we have a lot, quite a few.
My guess was more communities did it than did not. So, but we didn't have a definitive answer there, and that's one of the goals we're trying to get the structure in place. So next year we can have scheduled games for them.
One other thing that just popped in my head was we did have a community ask us about field space at OBETS. And we did have some games that were canceled last year. If we get out ahead of it, if you guys know your field situation and you don't want to cancel and you're the host, we highly recommend that you get a hold of us early, because we potentially could host at OBETS instead of canceling. And I think that would be better than canceling, because we're probably not going to be able to make up those games at your field anyways. So I just wanted to throw that out there because some people have already asked it. It's a good question. And last year we had some communities that didn't play and there was no rain. Our fields were perfect, and we weren't able to make up those games. So I know it's may take away a home game, but you're not going to get it anyways if you cancel. So we'll have fields lined. As long as we get that notice ahead of time, we could probably make those arrangements. Just want to throw that out there.
Shane,
Yeah, for sure.
From probably like late February until the season's over, I'll be the PLC's main point of contact, and then we'll disseminate down from there. If you can't get a hold of me, it'll be Bear, and then one of us will answer. So, but the structure at least from what I've seen as an observer during my internship in 2017 versus what we had in 2018, I felt at least was considerably better. You guys may have different feedback, but I was under the impression that we have been going in the right direction. And I always want feedback from you guys, so my email, my phone's always open. If you guys have anything that you suggest, anything you want to talk about, I'm all ears.
Scheduling will most likely stay the same. I mean, I think all the feedback postseason last year was people enjoyed, the doubleheaders and minimum 10 games, 10 to 12 games, the play day. And I believe, I haven't heard from St. Charles yet, I would imagine they're looking at doing their play day again. And if some other communities have hosted play days as well. The earlier you can get a thumb on the select teams, that if you're planning on doing a select team or joint select team with another community, the better for us, so we can have our select play day for you as well. You guys have any other questions? What about the go ahead.
So New Concord continues to grow rapidly, and this will be our first year with multiple teams in the divisions. So we would like to know from other communities how you guys selected those teams. Is it by grade? Is it by skill? Is it by just random draw?
Well, what we encourage is if you have enough kids for 2 teams, we would like to see those teams roughly equal in skill. Not necessarily have an A and a B version where all your better kids are on one and the lesser on the other. We would prefer to have a mix of both.
That's in the league, like bylaws. Like your team should be spread evenly. And we've seen it, like last year, there's a couple programs where one was not, they weren't. And that what happens is sometimes we get in that habit of all those kids were on that team last year, so they just stay on that team again next year. Well, the other team might get decimated, and that team might be dominant. So we want to watch out for that kind of, if you have multiple teams in your community, you guys can, if you see that coming, if you could weigh those out. It's just not fun for the kids either, like if you have a stacked team. And we all know it too. I mean, you play the two teams for that community and one kills you by 10 and you beat the other one by, 10. You're like, oh, yeah, they really did not pay attention to their signups, did they? I mean, it's real obvious when people aren't doing that. And it's not fun for the kids, especially the team that's getting beat by everyone. And they know, well, if we had those 3 kids on our team, it might be better.
So, I mean, as far as U.S. lacrosse and LABM and such, I mean, at these levels, they would recommend that we go through player evals prior to, so that we have some substantiation.
Yep.
Where do you guys stand on preseason player evals, especially for a multi-team,
Yep.
or even just for a single team? I mean, I know lots of different sports, lots of different leagues. You will have a coach's rating.
Yep.
0 to 5, and you will tally all those so that as we understand this and we enter into that, when we break up, I know last year we did the local and trying to set parity on some programs that just to make it competitive instead of an A++ school versus a new program.
Sure.
I mean,
Well, I totally get what you're saying. We've left that up to each community to evaluate their kids and disseminate them between the 2 teams. Unfortunately, your A++ may be way different than this community over here is A++. So even if we did that, we couldn't guarantee that when those 2 teams got together, it would be a great game. And we found that to be true. I mean, New Concord came in the league a couple years ago, and if we had this A-B system, we were like, new team, let's put them in B. Well, they kicked our butts, and I thought we were an A team. And they were kicking a lot of teams' butts. They were very good. And then one year, one team is very good. Then those kids go off and they go to middle school or whatever, and then they're not so good. It's like, so I don't know if there's a perfect formula. We have the one thing that you guys have told us is number one is regional play. I mean, that's been the number one thing is we want regional play. We don't want to travel. And last year, the way we did it was we kind of sectioned you off in certain sides of town, just whatever, I-7 or 71 and over. And then we tried to give you those. And then one weekend, we actually had people travel. I think everyone traveled once. We tried to get it to where everyone traveled once. Everybody played everybody in the region, and you traveled once. If you traveled, tried to pair you up with somebody that we thought was comparable. Now, whether it all worked out every single time, I don't know. All it takes is one kid to have a birthday party and not show up and changes your team.
And I will say that I've been looking to have new communities join specifically on the east side. I've had some contacts, one of which with Licking Valley. The other, we have Licking Heights as well as the Newark Heath area. So that's an area on the east side that I think is untapped.
We're trying to close that gap for you, New Concord. Trying to close that gap. There you go. Love it.
So we have, I would say, probably 2 new communities that will be joining for the next year.
So do any communities go by like the 5th grade team and 6th grade team? If you have that? Or
Currently the way it's written,
I know that's going to be the big question that I'm going to get. 3, 4, 5, 6. Right, so you mix them up.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, it's in the bylaws that you need to do that. You need to mix them.
Is Reynoldsburg in this year?
I have not heard.
They have not. No, I would say no at this point. Who is new again? Licking Valley, want to introduce yourself and go ahead.
My name's Ron Schneider. Licking Valley, we're going to be starting off with just the 5th and 6th grade team this year. So after this meeting, we don't have a parent player interest meeting and everything taken care of from there. So,
Welcome. That's awesome. Yep, it's good to see it grow over there. Anybody else? No, everyone's. Yep.
Representing Marysville, my name is Bob McGee. My son's on the 6th grade team, and so we're looking at the 3rd and 4th grade teams.
Okay, you guys were just senior team last year, right?
We're both last year.
Oh, yeah, but
Before we were just seniors.
okay, yeah, that's what, yeah, it's awesome. It's great.
Are there any new PLCs that have joined that have not been prior? Yes.
Jen Advisor, Columbus County.
Jimmy Perry, Bexley.
Megan Vance over Miller.
Jeremiah Wood Walton,
That's awesome. PLCs, I know we lean on you guys a lot to disseminate information so that you knew PLCs, like you're that connection, and we do rely on you pretty heavily, and we appreciate your hard work. We'll stick around with questions. I also know that there's pizza back there. And then also US Lacrosse has their town hall meeting after this. A lot of people to introduce and resources that they have. Feel free to hang out and eat, and we'll stick around, answer any questions. If you have any social media, like if you have no social media presence whatsoever, you can meet up with Brett. We find it can be very helpful in your recruitment process. So I think it's very important that if you're not on there, let's get on there. So thank you for your time tonight.
Make sure you take some from the back, the grant applications and the bag, as well as the information for the meeting.
Hey Shane, I came in late. Did you have a sign up or something?
Sure.
My name
I think Paul.
Hey, Skyway. Remember me? Yes, I do. The east side.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you all at our lacrosse convention on December 1st.
So the big one right